Hi, and welcome to Eating Plebian. Today we're making beer battered fish, or in this particular case, cod or cod loins. This is just a classic recipe with a little bit of extra spice inside of the batter mix. And we're just using just a can of beer for the liquid portion of that batter. But this is a really simple operation. All you need is a deep fryer. I'm going to be using a deep fryer today. But if you don't have one, you can use a Dutch oven with 5 or 6 cups of vegetable or another high heat, high smoke point oil, and use a thermometer to find out exactly how hot it is. But let's get started with the ingredient list. Moving things on, we've got 1 to 1.5 pounds of fish. This is 1.5 pounds of cod I picked up. We'll be subdividing that down just a little bit into more manageable pieces in just a minute. But we've got 1 cup of all-purpose flour. We've got 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, the aforementioned can of beer, any type that you like, and I've got a good tablespoon of garlic powder and another of onion powder. We're simply going to be combining all these together, and we're also going to add a light dusting of both salt and pepper to the fish before we batter the things up. Off to the side, I've got my heating oil coming up to temperature in the deep fryer over there, and let's move on to the countertop next to the stove. Since I've got everything portioned out here for the batter, I'm just going to go ahead and start this first before I pull out the fish. So anyways, I've got the flour, as I said, and I'm simply going to add each of these items in. I'm going to start off with the cornstarch and the baking powder, the garlic powder, and the onion powder, all going into the mix. I'm just going to take a whisk here and combine all these roughly together, although don't get too much into feeling like you need to homogenize it now, because we need to put in the beer, and that's pretty much going to take care of everything else. I'm going to put in most of it, check the consistency, and then put in the rest if we need it. We probably will, but I'm going to put in about 3/4 of it, and we're going to stir to combine, try to get all the clumps out. And it is not a bad thing at all to let this sit for about 5 minutes before you attempt to use it. Yeah, look at that. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more. We want to get to what is basically a pancake batter type of consistency, so it sticks nicely to the fish and doesn't rub off while you've got the active boiling and surging going on inside of your deep fryer. So we're almost there. You know, this might be thick enough. I've got only just like a couple of sips left, but I think we're there at that point. So, yeah, that's pancake batter. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to set this off to the side for a moment, and we're going to look at our fish. I haven't looked at this in a few hours. Shouldn't have changed much. Since I was at the fishmonger's counter over at the grocery store. There we are. So yeah, I've got a couple of big pieces, a couple of small pieces. I told them not to worry about trying to get nice, big, intact things, because basically we're going to be chopping it up anyway for stuff that will actually fit inside of our deep fryer. So I'll set these down here, and as a magic rule for fish or anything else that you put in a deep fryer, you want to make sure that it is completely dry before you put it in. The water that's on the side tends to react rather violently to hot deep fry oil when you put it in. So we don't need to have that happen. We want the oil to cook, not give us a floor show. So that one's seen better days, I think, but that's all right. So we've got these dried on one side. We'll go. So I've got 3/4 pound of fish. Oh, dear God. It'll still work for us, folks. So we're going to go to the magic land of make-believe, where I still have my fish on the counter. Oh, the dogs are going to eat well here shortly. Oh my God. Thank God I've only got 2 people eating tonight. I'm going to add... These are not the cooking screw-ups you're looking for. Yes, no, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper to each of these. All right. You can tell this is a solo operation here, everybody. There's no production assistants running up to hand me more fish. This is my dinner. I don't have a completed dish waiting in the wings to come out in case something goes wrong, which clearly it can. I've also got some JoJo's in the deep fryer right at this very moment. They'll be ready in just a second, but I'm stirring those around because I figured it'd be a nice accompaniment to the fish. Now that I've got plenty of batter, I wish I'd have had some more JoJo's. I'd have battered those up. But there we are. So join us back in just a minute or two, and we'll continue onward. I want to take a minute to talk about setup and safety here. Now, being as eating Plebian is meant, or at least targeted mainly toward the beginner novice cooks, that deep frying is inherently dangerous. You're dealing with a lot of very hot oil that can burn and scald. Make sure that you're wearing an apron. Make sure that you're wearing, long pants, shoes, the whole thing. I mean, that's even not going to save you from probably serious burns, but one of the biggest problems with oil is that it tends to stick to you. And the quicker you can shuck that stuff off in case of a spill, the better. Now, a lot of people will also put this on your countertop. The countertop, generally fine, but it is safer if you have a stovetop that has a concave sort of recess for the burners. I know not all stoves do that, especially ones with the new electrical induction units. They're pretty much flat. But in case there's a spill, there's somewhere for the water to go other than just on you. Now, we also have a cooling rack over here for the sake of the consistency and the crispiness of the fish. Don't put it in a bowl or just layer it on top of paper towels. Air needs to be able to get underneath it as well as on top of it to keep it crispy and for that oil to drain. So we have this waiting over here to receive our fish as soon as it's done. And lastly, you'll note that I've got this thing sitting on top of the stove, but it's on top of the big cast iron grill top. And that thing is nice, it's heavy, it's not going anywhere, and it's a perfect stable base to place the deep fryer. So let me see what our temperature is here right now. 348, 349, I'm with 350. Okay, so I wanted 350 to 375 degrees. I think we're close enough that we're going to go ahead and do this. It's going to take approximately 5 minutes of cooking time inside of the deep fryer. And so I'm just whisking up my batter again, because as I said, we had it sitting for just a couple of minutes waiting on us. And so just like pancake batter, it'll stiffen up slightly. So we do want to keep it to the point where it coats everything nicely but doesn't tear apart the fish trying to push through it. So I'm just going to keep this right here for the moment. And we're just going to go ahead and get it started. What I want to do is only put in about 2 to 3 pieces at a time, depending on how large they are. And be very careful in just setting these in. It's probably not a bad idea to use a pair of tongs for this. I know that I have actually dried my fish off rather thoroughly, just to make sure that it doesn't hiss and spit. And so we're going to put these in and let them sit for about 3 minutes, and then we'll turn them around inside of the pot just to make sure everything gets covered. Some pieces are going to be larger, some are going to be smaller, but I'm pretty sure these are going to be an excellent portion of our dinner. I will be back in just a minute. We're getting ready to get to turn these, but I also wanted to take a second to just give you a very quick unofficial recipe for some tartar sauce. You can get tartar sauce recipes anywhere online, but this is a very simple one that contains a half a cup of mayonnaise, 3 to 4 tablespoons of relish that's either sweet or dill, whatever your preference is, just a pinch of cayenne pepper, some salt, pepper, and just a little splash of lemon juice. Mix it right up, toss it in the fridge for a little bit. Perfect tartar sauce. So let's take a look at what our fish is doing after 3 minutes. We're starting to brown up. Folks, do you see the way this is puffing up? This is beautiful. Yes, I wish there were more of it. That one's kind of stuck slightly to the side. I'm gonna have to kind of chisel that one off just a little bit, and be careful when I'm manhandling. The fish, of course. That one's exposed on the end. That's my fault. And then there's this guy. Make sure that everything gets on there. We need it just for another 1.5 minutes or so. I exposed some of the fish on the inside, which of course is full of water, and the oil, the hot oil, is reacting to that because it turns it into steam. All right, so just another minute or so. Be right back. It looks to me like we have got our first batch of fish done. So I'm going to go ahead and decamp these over here to that cooling rack off to the side. Yeah, I pulled some off on that one. That's all right. I'm going to set this down. And for this last piece, would you look at these things? I don't want to dribble all over my stove, but would you look at that beautiful, crispy, puffed up batter? That's just amazing. I have another tool over here, and that is to, if you really are of a mind to get rid of the cracklings and any pieces of stray batter that have popped off. And these would, of course, continue to cook and eventually get burned, depending on how many batches of fish that you're going to run through here. That one's still got a flake in it. I'm going to save that one. But, so I'm going to move the cracklings off, and you can even save that. A lot of people do. They like those things. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next batch, and I will be right back with you. So now it's time for plating up. These things are nice and still hot. Yes, I have my good old American ketchup over there, but you can tell just by looking at these things that they are crispy. They are perfectly done. Yes, I took a bite. I'm just going to place this on my plate for putting it on the table shortly. And have those right there. As I said, I also made some JoJo's. That goes perfectly with it. What's a JoJo? It's a thick French fry, basically. So actually, I'm just going to take one of these, and some of my JoJo's, I like using also like seasoned salt on these. And I'll put another little small one on there, along with some of our tartar sauce. And we are ready to go. So I want to say thank you for joining us once again here on Eating Plebian for a rather novel cooking experience. If you're wondering what's going to happen to the other half of the fish, I've already fried it up. I'll peel off the breading so they don't get too much oil, and they're going to have a phenomenal meal tonight themselves. But anyways, this is the finished fish, and I tell you, it's going to be a really good meal, because I'm always pleased when I'm able to pull this sort of thing off. Not everyone is always enamored of fish. I know seafood lovers, we know the difference, we know the trade. So anyways, thanks very much, and please hit the like and the subscribe buttons. It helps me immeasurably in trying to get stuff out, my content I'm talking about here. And we're still a young channel and trying to get over all of YouTube's, leaps and everything else that you gotta go through. So, but thanks once again. Have a good evening, and I will see you next time.